All right, guys. Well, thanks so much. I'm Amy Post. Thanks for joining me on my podcast today. As I always tell you in the beginning, I really appreciate your time. Time is something that we certainly can't get back. So I always appreciate you giving me just a little bit of your time each and every day. And my main thing right now is really to just kind of encourage and give hope. And I really, every single time, I really love the encouragement that has come through. I have been receiving multiple text messages, Facebook messaging.
You know?
Absolutely. And I need that encouragement, guys, right now. And I really appreciate it. So keep it coming because it means so much to me. So really just getting into this, it is the, raw and real. We get down and talk about things that, we may not normally talk about, take us out of our comfort zone, and just let's see where this goes. So today...
Well, that's really where growth comes in.
Absolutely.
So
it is. So today we're talking about health, and it might be a little bit different than you think, and I kind of want to just take you to a place maybe that you're not thinking about or as comfortable, but I have a very good friend with me, Dr. Eddie Weller. We've been friends for many, many years.
Many years.
Yeah, but I wanted to bring him on, have a chat, because I think that he's going to bring some things up that most of us just really don't think about it, and I think that they are so important. Yeah. And through the different conversations that we've had, you guys know about my daughter and kind of her journey that we had together, and there was a lot to do about health, but it really dove in a great deal more. So thank you for being here.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it.
This is great.
So kind of give us a little bit about you.
About me? Oh goodness. I grew up in Chicago, and I struggled terribly in school growing up. ADD kid, learning disability classes kind of guy. Wow. Graduated high school at a third grade reading level. Yeah. Wow. Aren't you glad I'm here?
I didn't know that.
See, just when you think you know someone. Yeah, I was that guy. I had a 10 on my ACT. So I was that guy. Struggled terribly. I'd open a book, close a book. Holy cow, what did I just read? So the comprehension wasn't there. Also, from age 17, junior year in high school to in my 20s, I was having irritable bowel real bad. So IBS, I won't go into details, but it was not good because you never know when irritable bowel is going to be irritable. It makes a rough high school year, and then growing into college, and it was yuck. So I graduated high school, barely, moved down to Florida to be a cop. So I'm going to school to police officer to be a cop. As I was watching cops growing up in the DEA thing, I'm like, I'm going to break crack houses in, So I met this girl. She was 18, I was 20. Started dating her, and she's 19, now 21, getting pretty serious. She's like, you need to meet mom and dad. I said, I'd love to. So I go to her house, and again, you never know when irritable bowel's going to be irritable. It was irritable that day. I'm like, I need a bathroom right now. Because I see her dad cooking and barbecuing outside. I'm like, I need to go to the bathroom right now. So I go, a little pocket door, having my Dumb and Dumber moment, right? And it was just craziness. I was 20, 21-ish. And her father comes in from barbecuing. Hollow core door, so I hear everything in the kitchen. I'm like, I'm right there. And her father's like, where's Eddie? She's like, well, he's in the bathroom, Dad. He's got irritable bowel. Says, he doesn't have irritable bowel. He's got pressure on his brainstem. I'm like, what's wrong with my brain? Because I got teased enough as a kid, right? Your brain isn't all that great. LD kid. And so I come out of the bathroom. He's like, you have to realize. I said, I just met you, but she just told me you had irritable bowel. Your brain sends life to the body. It doesn't send irritable bowel signals. I'm like, okay, what? Like, I just met you. I have no idea what he's talking about. Yep. He said, if the brain is sending signals from the brain to the spinal cord and out and going to your colon, and if those signals are disrupted, abnormal signals make abnormal things. Your signals are heightened. They're aggravated. So they're working too fast. You have IBS. Some people, they work too slow, and then you have constipation. Which one do you have? I'm like, I have the other one. He goes too fast, I go too fast. Okay. Anyway, he continues to tell me a story, moves a bone on my neck, changed my life forever. I went from C's and D's to A's and B's. IBS was gone. And I said, I have to do this thing. What do you do again? He was a chiropractor. And I said, okay. I didn't know, now I know, because I've been doing chiropractic 25 years, is that I didn't know that there's hundreds of different types. Hundreds of different types. So you never know what you're going to get. I call the profession a box of chocolates, right? Because you never know what you're going to get. Needless to say, fast forward 25 years and 12,000 patients later. So it's just been really interesting to see all these different conditions, and outside of neck or back pain is what you hear, but with reflux or heart palpitation, about 80% of my practice, people with anxiety, depression. That's primarily what I see. So you think about your colon. Brainstem controls heart, lung, and colon, and your colon makes 90% of your serotonin levels. Serotonin goes to the brain, your emotions, your thoughts. And so the brain-gut axis thing. And so it's changed my life. And so why wouldn't it change anybody else's? So it's been kind of neat to see. Just a little neat, We always talk about how thoughts are things, and I was talking to a friend how we have two brains. One that we think with, and the other one that's keeping us alive. And we never really give that any thought. And because every 6 weeks you have a new liver.
Yeah.
Every 4 months, new blood. I'm like, where's the old blood go? You know what I mean? Every 10 to 15 minutes, a new stomach. I can go on and on. I love factoids. And so, but if all of those things are occurring without you thinking about it, what's in control of that? Your nervous system.
Yeah.
Always. It's this thing that gets in the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
As we were talking earlier today, like my cancer, my tumor, my diabetes, it's not yours. You don't Google it and see your picture. Right? They didn't name it after you, so don't call it. It's your body's issue, not you. You're just living in this thing.
Yeah.
So if you're living in it, then take care of it. And
For
most,
sure.
Gosh, you're such a health nut. Does that make you a sick nut?
Right.
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 And so, we live in this world of judgment. We always talk about, as you mentioned earlier, about how things are getting reciprocated, how you want to encourage and motivate and inspire. As Tony Robbins always stated, you want love, give it. You want time, give it. You want money, give it. Right? And so I try to live that way. But my biggest give is hope.
Yeah. Yep.
If God made this thing happen, God made you happen, then it's hope. We have hope. And we lose hope because there's two types, like two brains.
Yeah.
There's a hope between fear and worry. Like, I hope so. And that's doubt. That's worry versus I got hope. Like, I got hope. And so those two, the emotion right there is different, right? When you feel that.
Completely.
And so I think, and when it comes to health is a default. Like when you start school, you start with an A. You start with an A. You can only take away from it. It's like our body.
True.
You start with an A pretty much, and you can take away from it. Sometimes they're beyond our control, but there's things being taken away from us, neurologically or nutritionally or spiritually or hormonally or whatever. But we always take away from it. And so if health is a default, as I was talking to a bunch of patients yesterday, they always ask me, what's the best detox? And I'm like, what's the best detox? What's the best this? What's the best that? I'm like, who am I to tell you what the best is?
Right.
I didn't make you, and I don't know what you need.
Right.
However, I do have this answer. I have the best detox. Don't tox. If you don't put garbage in, you don't get garbage out.
So true.
Right? How many times you hung out with somebody who says, oh my gosh, they're fun for a while, but God, it's too much. Why is it too much? It's like food. I shouldn't have eaten it. Gosh, I'm sick. I ate that. You're not sick. Your body's just reacting to the garbage you put in it.
Yeah. So true.
People and food are the same thing. No, you don't eat people. People and food are the same way. If you're hanging out with me, are you building me up or tearing me down? In order to make the skin and the bones and the muscles and organs, we get that from food. So what are you eating? Yes, I cheat like everybody else, but it's a cheater day. It's not a staple.
Right. It's not consistent.
Oh, no.
Just that consistency.
I need my this today. That's a problem. You don't need anything.
Yes.
Right? And so I think that's where people misconstrue the power of the body and the ability for the body to take care of itself. And then we live in this world of compare. I can't look like you. I can't get in shape like you. I can't do this like you. And then your body's listening, like shush, right? This stinking thinking, we just get in our way.
But we also don't know the impact of what we put in our body and what we say to ourselves and what we do is so very damaging. We don't really stop to think about those things.
Or what we project to others.
Yes.
My mom has cancer, my dad has diabetes, I'll probably get it.
Absolutely.
Stop.
Absolutely.
Like, stop right now. It's shh.
It runs in our family.
Right. Cold and flu season's coming.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And I'm like, I didn't realize sickness had seasons. Who comes up with this? And then we take ownership of it. They said so. The pandemic did it all for everybody, right?
Of course.
And so there was no gray. Either you were, oh my gosh, my life's going to end, or oh my gosh, this is a scam. It's one or the other. There was no in between.
We all know what side we were on.
Oh my gosh. But and it's that kind of fun, I think, where it's okay. Right now is okay. And tomorrow, it's going to be okay. Because know what I'm doing tomorrow? I'll tell you when I get there. It's right now, it's okay.
Yeah.
And if we just stop right now. Like here, I really ate something bad last night. It's okay. That was last night. I shouldn't have had too much to drink the other day. I felt like crap the next day. That's okay. As long as you recognize if you're doing that to yourself and not go ahead and live that way. Don't feel guilty over it. And most of us do. I bet now I go down depression road. I did this. I screwed up my fast. I ruined my diet. I haven't worked out in 2 weeks. I'm a slob. Like, stop.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, and I dealt with that a lot with being in the hospital with Madison. And, no matter what you go through, it's always what's going to happen tomorrow. Fearing of the tomorrow. I couldn't enjoy today.
Well, there's no taking care of you when you're there.
Right.
All of your energy is to her, and everything shuts off.
Yeah, it did. And it was almost impossible. And I know that if you're in that position, it's really impossible to kind of stop and think about that. And you're never going to get where you want to be if you are always worrying about tomorrow and those what ifs. And I realized once I started taking that step back, I think things really started to change in a much more positive way, but my health as well. I was sick for a very long time. I talk about it in the book. I think that I probably wouldn't have been here today. I was getting very, very sick being in the hospital with Madison, not taking care of myself. And it was just this worry and fear and what I told myself. And
it's what you tell. Yeah, it's totally what you told yourself.
It wasn't true, but it was the food we were being fed and just
what the doctors are saying and
everything.
Everyday changes. And what about? Did you hear this now? Oh my gosh! Yeah, it doesn't stop.
Yeah, it didn't. I think the moment I just started realizing I would never be able to get to the next level unless I stopped fearing about what was going to happen tomorrow. But it was when you're in that fearful situation, it's very difficult to not think about, but what tomorrow? How do I change tomorrow? If I change today, how can I change tomorrow? How can I make it different? And when you're in this fight or flight like we were, and so many situations, I think, with people and what they're going through, it's really impossible. And I couldn't do it well at all. And crash and burn, so very sick, almost in the hospital. That's where I found, alternative and more of the functional medicine. But it was what I started telling myself. She was going to be fine. We were going to be fine. We got this. She's not going to have cancer again. She's not going to be sick. We are getting out of here tomorrow or soon. And it's just everything started changing for the better. But it took a lot out of me to do that.
Exhaust you, right? And so and that's when we really start to lean on God. Like, give me strength. Be careful of that because God's going to give you a reason not to have strength, so you can lean on Him even more. Right. But again, if God already knows, then we got to put God in the center of this. Like, we got this. Let's pray right now. God, go get it. It's not on us. I call God Dad. Yeah. All the time, Dad. Because when you have a dad, it's a different story versus father, right? Hey, Dad, I got a question for you. And so I always wake up every morning and I said, you know what? I don't know what you're doing today, but I want to be part of it. And if you want to use me and show off, I want to be part of that too. It's a cool way to kind of go about. Now you're looking forward to, like, what's God going to do? Absolutely. What's my dad going to do? So that's Liam and I, my son, were out to dinner last week, and we're actually sat at the bar. And above the bar, where the bottles and TV, and it says free beer tomorrow. He's like, Dad, check it out. There's free beer tomorrow. And I was like, yeah. I said, Liam, when we come here tomorrow, what's that sign going to read? And he's like, free. You see what I'm saying? We can't always look for tomorrow for the next good thing. Absolutely. We have to appreciate our meal right now, Liam. Right? It was a really cool moment. Right? One day, we'll see. I can't wait when. When I have enough money. When I have enough physical stuff. When I, what I mean? And then there's never enough. We live in a world of not enough.
Oh, completely. Right. And I saw it for so many years. I think we all do, but working in, the business that I did and beauty, and it's just, it's what we look at. It's judging and all these filters and very, very surface. But it's not to say that all of it is bad. Right. It just, I think you really have to dig deep and really humble yourself to know where you need to be and where you need to stand and that sort of thing. And I've had a lot of conversations. I did a podcast the other day about just those internal scars and external scars and telling yourself that people aren't going to like you for whatever reason. Right. And I talk to Madison all the time about whatever she tells herself that's going to happen.
That callous scar puts up a wall.
Yeah, it's probably going to happen. Right. Our son just recently started driving, and I said, if you get out there and you're like, okay, I'm afraid to crash. I'm afraid to crash. I don't want to crash. Probably going to crash today.
That's all you're thinking about.
That's all you're thinking about. So it's just the mind is
it's
so very powerful.
It happens all the time. Whatever that it is, it's going to happen.
It is. And I think I can't live like that, but I certainly look back over the last 9 years and wish that I could have thought differently to help me get through certain circumstances.
Sure.
But, it brought me to where I am. And I think that just has empowered me more and empowered us to have this conversation, just to be able to share it with more people and really let them know. I mean, there's just so much power in the mind. Absolutely so much power that we don't recognize.
No, because it's everywhere to recognize it, but we're not. So my son is an avid golfer. And so he's on several tours. He plays very well. I can talk about him forever. Then again, every parent can talk about their kid pretty much forever. But he's 12 right now, and he's playing really well. I said, Liam, this club that you hit, it's all water, and then there's the green. I said, this club that you hit is 135 yards. I said, how far is it to the edge of the water? Because he's got it on his watch, right? Of course he does. And he's like, it's 122 yards. It's impossible to hit it in the water. The club is made, you hit that 135 yards. Yeah, but there's no but. I don't even want you to imagine that there's grass there. It's impossible. I said, watch. Want me to hit it first? No, I'll go. I said, go. And he hits it and puts it on the green. I said, so a second ago you were worried about going in the water. Why is that? And so again, it's that mindset of what we're capable of, and we forget that.
Absolutely.
And we forget that, especially when whatever decision we make it about others. And now things shift, right? So it's not a me world. Once I get this, then I'll. No. Yeah. It's not how God wants it. And I really think when we let go of, oh my gosh, at this time in my life, I thought I would be. At this time, I should have had. Why didn't I go travel there? Why don't I have? Why does my bank account look like this? And now we live in this. Man, I'm less than. And it's listening. Yes. Right. And it says, you want to be less than? I'll listen. You want to be more than? I'll listen. Right. I always talk about the power of the mirror. So I did it this morning. When I wake up, you go to the bathroom, you go to the mirror, you grab your toothbrush. Morning. What's up, Eddie? Good morning, buddy. Right. And I talk to me. Right. And so friends that have heard me would go on vacation, or then my wife and the kiddos, they're like, oh gosh, Dad's talking to himself again. But again, you got to be your own cheerleader.
Right. Oh, you do. You do.
And if not, you start to get sick. Things start going wrong. So, and it's always interesting to me that when we call it the neurologic system, there's logic in the nerve. Who put the logic there? God. Yeah. We know that we call it logical. Smart, wisdom. So if we know that there's a knowledge within our body, then why not give the body more credit to where credit's due? We believe, as humans, no other species does this. We believe that if the problem comes from the inside, the answer must come from the outside. No other species does that. Right? So if the problem comes from the inside, so is the answer.
Oh, for sure.
It always does. And so when we're looking for outside-in sources, kind of like you mentioned functional medicine, that kind of thing, right? I call it functional care, functional health. How well is your physiology functioning? Right? Emotionally, physically, nutritionally, hormonally, spiritually. How well is it functioning? Hence why I call it getting well, right? Healthy body, healthy mind, healthy relationships. Yeah. We're covered in relationship. This is a relationship. We have a relationship with not only talking to each other, we have a relationship with the camera. And then the people who are listening to this now have a relationship with us. While at the meantime, maybe they're having a coffee, and the other one's having McDonald's, and the other one's driving in traffic. The other one just got finished fighting with their spouse. And the other, we're covered in relationships, right? Those are all relationships. I mean, the temperature of the room, the clothes on us, they're a relationship. And so again, what stress are you giving the body? And the less stress you can give it, including your mind.
Absolutely.
Nothing's wrong with taking care of you first. And that's really where health comes from. Right? So when I take care of me, people say, oh, it's egotistical, it's selfish. No. When I am healthy, because I don't want to be a burden to you. I don't want to be that person you call, Eddie, can I get anything from you? I know you can't get out of bed. I don't want to be that guy. Yeah. And so if I don't want to be that guy, then what am I going to do? Then I have to take care of me. And so when I do that, people are like, oh gosh, are you Mr. Healthy over here? No, I'm just taking care of me. Right. Don't call it healthy. I just call it a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. What life do you want? And it's by choice. Yes. It's totally by choice. I mean, I have a friend of mine who broke his neck. He was a bodybuilder, and he went on a mission trip. And he's running with a bunch of kids on the beach in Haiti. And he steps into this hole where they were building sandcastles, but the tide came up, and he didn't see this small hole. I mean, huge big bodybuilder. Took state 3 years in a row. And he steps into this hole, lands, and he hits his chin, snaps his neck, paralyzed neck down.
Oh my goodness.
23 years old.
Wow.
Fast. On a mission trip for God. Like, why did you do this to me? Bitter to God. As you can imagine how bitter you are, right? Because I am in the best shape of my life, and now he sits in a chair strapped to a chair, and he can't.
Yeah.
Right, go ahead, complain. So I meet him at church, and I said, "Hey, brother, he from about nipple line down, he is paralyzed, so he can move his hands like this a little bit, wipe his face, his hands, and uses these other apparatuses to help him write and type. Sharp as sharp gets." So I meet him in his mid-30s, and we were chit-chatting. I said, God's got, don't tell me this thing. God's got something planned for me. Just don't do that for me. I said, I have to do that for you because you're not doing it for you. I said, so let me put on my pom-poms right now and give you a little cheer of what could happen. So fast forward about 10 years, he ends up going to, he starts care with me. We're talking a bunch, but he goes to school, gets his master's, gets his doctorate, and right now he is a psychologist and counselor, professional counselor for those that are in wheelchairs. Because if I can overcome, look what God did to me, and now I get to help others with the thing that happened to me.
Yeah.
How many women, something goes wrong with them on a college campus or dorm, and somebody takes advantage of them, and now they have a story. And that story now inspires and motivates. It's crazy what God uses. Why did I develop irritable bowel and having these issues, growing up in the way I did in Chicago? It's some crazy rough stuff. That's a story.
It is.
And we're like you. You're sharing your story, right? As a mom, I had a daughter that dealt with X. But I also had a son that had to deal with this whole thing, that felt like he was on the bleachers. Like, why are they playing the game and now they're not taking care? I want mom too, Now there's that.
Oh, yes.
And then I have a husband that's, what about my... It's all the above. And I have work, I have friends, I have family. And so, again, all of that affects your health.
It did, and I remember being in the hospital the very first morning. Alarm clock went off in my head. 5 a.m. I was just always up, and the coffee little room was just straight kind of diagonal across, and just staggering out after being diagnosed the day before, and just being very lost. Absolutely lost and angry.
Resentful, bitter
was one of those feelings. And I met a gentleman in the coffee room, and I asked him. I said, why are you in here? Like we were in jail or something, what landed you here?
Yeah.
He said, our son was diagnosed when he was very young.
Because nobody chooses that place.
Oh, goodness, no. No, you certainly
You're put
do
there.
not choose it.
Yeah.
And I think his son was about Madison's age when he was first diagnosed with cancer. And they had been out of the hospital for a couple of years and just recently landed back in. His son had brain cancer. And I remember walking out of that coffee room. And mind you, it's the first morning after we're being told she has malignant liver cancer, starting on chemotherapy immediately, blood transfusions, platelet transfusions, liver transplant, anything that you could imagine just not being able to digest. And then she has a rare genetic cancer gene, and oh my goodness, 2 more cancers. And I remember walking out of that room, Eddie, and going, I have nothing to be sad about. I have nothing to be sad about. And from that moment forward, I vowed that every single day I would find something to be blessed about and just happy about. Because grateful. I had to. I had to. But I don't know what sent me out of that room at that moment with the news we had just been given. But it just made me...
It made it relative in a hurry.
It did.
And you lived like, this isn't that bad, I guess.
Yeah. But I think it really helped in the way of, we're not a victim. I'm not going to feel like that. We're not a victim. We're going to get through this. We're going to figure it out.
I'm not owning this.
Yeah, and it was where I had my headspace every single day, where I had my headspace. And, you'll read my book and it would just take you where the floor... You didn't think the floor could fall out anymore.
Yes.
Oh, it did.
Oh, yeah.
Get ready, because here it goes again and again and again. And I never had experiences in the hospital where I was too angry or just feeling as though I wasn't blessed. I mean, I had fear.
You get resentful.
And I did have some resentment. I absolutely did.
You're so great. Why are you doing this to my daughter?
Yeah. But
that happens.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't.
It isn't craziness.
No.
So, I know.
But I think we were able to really get out of there faster and actually leave without, predictions of children die and 90% of couples get divorced going through this. And pretty much I was
financially
told,
ruined, all of it.
You better be ready.
Yeah.
Your whole life just taken from you. I mean, what do you do with it? But I think where you keep your headspace and what you're thinking about every single day and being
that
blessed.
also all goes back to I'm sorry that happened to you, but
Yeah.
my experience is not going to be like yours.
Right.
And most of us put us up. This is why I don't like support groups, because they all talk about their own problems
Yeah.
and how we all have the same problem together. And I had a patient of mine who says, when's the last time you went out with your wife? To dinner, had a glass of wine. I know her really well, and I just met you. And he's like, I can't go out to dinner in those places. Why? Because I'm an alcoholic. I'm like, okay.
Oh.
When was the last time you had a glass of wine? He's like, 36 years ago. Do you really think you're an alcoholic? It's been 36 years.
Wow.
I'm not to say that you don't have to drink anymore. Don't drink anymore because of that thing. But
Right.
stop calling yourself an alcoholic. See how that title? I'm a cancer survivor. Great, I'm a survivor. Don't put the C word in it.
Yeah.
Right? Because now I'm thinking about, I had a friend of mine that wrote a book, Cancer Killers. And so he wrote, because he had a brain tumor. Another chiropractor had a brain tumor. And his name's Chuck. Good buddy of mine. Firecracker for life. And crazy for God. And I'm like, stop. Don't call your book that. Because you're going to go on tour. And you're going to speak about this book, Cancer Killers. And it's cancer. All you're talking about is cancer. It's coming back.
Yes. Yes.
And it did. And it killed him. In his 30s. And so I'm like, brother, stop right now. Would you just stop? And so we so get in the way, again, of this outside-in mentality. And and I think this is, the body needs this. Give it this thing. What can I take for that? Versus why did that happen in the first place? Like, I have a headache. I need a Tylenol. Are you lacking Tylenol? Is that why you have a headache? Of course not.
Yeah.
And so if that's the case, that's this. Are you lacking chemo? There's a time and place for all drugs and surgery.
Yes.
I'm so thankful
Yes.
that they're there. But that time and place is a really small window. Really small. Because once we resolved, then what? It's kind of like something's wrong with your lawn. And if something's wrong with the lawn, okay, let's treat it, and then let's take care of the lawn like the rest of the lawn.
Right.
And then
Right.
life happens again.
Yeah.
And we don't do that. We don't do that. It's everything has to be this cleaned or this cleansed or this detox, this chemical, this. Like, would we just stop and just detox this?
And I mean, nothing against the medical community. I mean, it was
this is no
wonderful
dig on them.
to
I'm so
yeah.
glad they're there.
We are too. And I had resentment.
But it's not
Because-
healthcare.
It's not.
And that's the differential. If I
Absolutely.
fall, Amy, and I break my arm, I'm going to the hospital because they patch things up. But then when you put the cast on it, then what do? We'll go home and heal. Well, what's doing the healing? We are.
Body.
Right? And so,
Yeah.
again, we're fixing. It's kind of like, I got diagnosed with, I need surgery. Something's wrong with my heart. There's an emergency, something. Good. Thank God they're there. But that's
Yeah.
not doing the healing.
Right.
Right? So nothing's wrong with both of those.
Yeah.
So let's not call it healthcare. You know what I mean?
I think there were so many situations to where I didn't really know how to handle it. I mean, they're doing what they're taught to do.
Sure.
They are having XYZ teams follow you like they did our daughter. Others who have, whatever is going on in their life, and you do have to be followed. It just was a point where I needed to kind of distance ourselves from that, because her mind frame was always, oh my goodness, oh my goodness,
What
oh
are
my
they going to
goodness.
find now?
They're going to find something else, and they're always, this cancer screening. We got to do this for your liver cancer. We have to do. It was just all so very much,
And all based around that thing.
It was yes.
You
It was
were
this-
monitored, but she wasn't monitored. The sickness was monitored.
Yeah. And so just protecting
Take care
her.
of the person, not the condition.
Yeah, and that wasn't given. So I think when we really stepped out and looked more into the chiropractic, alternative, functional, just something different where the
It's
body
just a
is
lifestyle. It's
allowed
not, almost
to
not even
heal.
alternative. People are like, what do you think about this? I don't. Like, what do you like? My kids have never had McDonald's, right? Or Burger King, that kind of stuff. So I'm like, why? My kids have never had a needle touch their skin. You know what I mean? What, you don't vaccinate? No, I believe less chemicals in a God-made body, you're better off. Remember, the best detox is don't tox.
Right.
I just don't put toxin in. You know what I mean? So, what do you think about? I just don't. How often do you microwave your food? I don't. I don't have I don't. So if we go back to less, like look at the COVID thing. Do you think people in the Amish world? There's no COVID.
No.
I know. I have a ton of Amish patients.
No.
And I'm like, how's that going? They're like, you guys are nuts.
I know.
Like, you guys need to stop that Fauci stuff. Like, you guys are nuts. And they're like, okay, I'm with you. But it's, I mean, if we live in fear, the fear will win.
Yeah, it sure will. It really will.
It will.
I found that out very, very soon. Very, very early in just And I think it really
Because
just
it's emotional.
shook us. It was emotional.
Emotion wins.
You know,
Good or bad, it wins.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. But just being in those situations sometimes, you know, who is your cheerleader? You know, you need those cheerleaders, you need those people that are going to really come and uplift you and be there for you and bring things for you, but also just be able to uplift you in that mind, body, and spirit of just, okay, every single day, be that cheerleader for you and uplift you.
Totally. And it's crazy you say that. We're on any sports team, and we're losing way bad. It's fourth quarter, third period, doesn't matter, and there's no way we can come back. The cheerleaders are still cheering.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
Right?
That's a great point.
So even though you feel defeated and you feel like you can't win, you still need your circle that's going to say, you got this. Like, let's go. And it's just the shift.
Yeah. They don't sit down. They don't go, oh, well, you know, we're not going to win, so we're just going to sit down now.
Right. No. I was telling a story the other day about you're in Africa and you're a gazelle. I'm a giraffe. And there's a zebra and there's a lion and hippos. And we're all doing our thing. And we all go to the same pond. And we're all drinking. Yeah, we're scattered around. And we're all just existing around the pond. We're not thinking about the hippo that just went to the bathroom in the pond. Because that would be a human brain. Yep. And so now you and I are just chilling out. And we're just, hey, Amy, what's up? What? We're drinking. And here comes an alligator and takes me and pulls me in the pond. And everybody scatters and runs. And they're all looking around, like, what happened to Eddie? Right? And the alligator's chewing me up and I'm dead. What do they all do about 5 minutes later? I'm still thirsty. They go back and go drink. So life is going to happen. And when I say that, we were talking earlier, I'd like to put myself in situations to where I'm away from the world, to where do I really matter? I'm existing, but when I exist, how am I contributing?
Yes.
So and again, going back to the health mindset, if I'm not healthy, I can't contribute. And not everybody wants to, because not everybody wants to. But if that's your why, and I want to add to somebody's life, like the kids that I have in Pakistan, right? And so adopting all these kids in Pakistan to do that. If my business doesn't make money, I can't give money away. If I'm not healthy, I can't share life with you and create a legacy with you.
Yeah.
So I can't give me away. And so what happens then? Then we live in the support groups. I'm highly medicated. I live in depression. No, you guys go do that thing. I can't because I have this. I can't because you got that. Stay away from me. I don't want to get yours. That thing. And so, did you ever see the Emoto Study? It's the water study.
No.
So this Japanese man, he's a scientist, is Dr. Emoto. You have to see this.
Okay.
So I have several slides of these at different presentations that I do. And he was talking about how thoughts are things and different kind of stuff, and he proved it with water. And so what he did is he just took a tap water, this was water, took the tap water, and took a dropper, put it in a microscope, looked at it, and said, this is what the cell looks like. And it would have this constellation of what the cell matter looked like in the water. Then he took that same water, didn't change anything to it, except put a piece of tape on it. And he wrote, I love you. That's it. Took the drop, this will blow your mind. Took the dropper out, looked at it, and went, what just happened? Then he took the tape off, put another piece of tape on, I hate you. Put the dropper on it, and it turned awful, this weird, awful looking shape. We're talking snowflake, beautiful shapes, until he puts like, I hate you. He's like, what else? He put down love, put down peace, put down death, and the water was never changed. Just the piece of tape with the sticker on it. The craziest study ever. It was nuts. Then he said, all right, everybody, I have this water, tap water. I have this water. This is what it looks like. See it? Good. I need 500 people from around the world. Email me 500 people to pray for my water. Just pray for it. Talk about something good that you want to send, a good vibe, if you will, to my water. So we waited, got 500 people to do that, took the dropper. It'll blow your mind what it looks like. It's stunning, beautiful. We'll look at it. I'll show you later. It's stunning. So the Dr. Emoto Study, and all I kept thinking about is water has a memory, and it reacts to thought. That was proof. He took sewage water, went to the sewage plant, took a dropper, this is what it looks like, and he wrote down, I love you, and it totally changed.
Wow.
The same water. Didn't change the water.
Wow.
Didn't clean it, didn't do anything. He did this over and over and over, all around the world, just changing the water. And he was like, okay, let's do this with a dog bowl. So what he did is took 3 dog bowls, several of them, And the dogs always drink out of this side they eat, this side they drink, whatever. So he took the dog bowls out, got the dog throwing the ball, got the dog thirsty, and took the bowls in another room. Nobody knew what bowl. He prayed over the bowl. And just prayed over. Put the dog bowls down. The dog only went over and over and over to the bowl that he prayed to. One time he put the bowl on the left.
Wow.
He put the bowl on 3 bowls. Put the bowls down here. Put the bowl down here. Nope. Dog only went to. I'm like, this is nuts. No way. So I have a dog. I was like, I need to do this. So my friend actually has a lab. I was at his house at the time. I said, I'm going to do this. He goes, let's do it now. So he called his son, go play with the dog in the backyard. Get the dog going, throwing the ball.
Yeah.
I said, so I'm going to do a triple blind study. I'm going to go in the basement with these dog bowls. I took 2 of them with the dog bowls, and I'm going to pray over one of them. And I'm not going to tell you or your kiddo. And I'm going to go in the room, and then I'm going to leave the room because I don't want to put energy in which one I'm looking at. I'm going to leave the room, and you tell me left or right. We did it 4 times. It went left, left, right, right. I'm like, this is nuts. And then I really thought, we're 80%-ish water.
Yes, we are.
And this man just changed water's constellation of how beautiful water can be and how it can thrive on a thought with a sticker. What about my thoughts on my own sticker in my brain?
Wow.
Right? And if we're 80% water, water has a memory, and water reacts to our thoughts, that's proof, then what are we thinking? So that's why when you wake up in the morning, first thing I'll do is I get on up and I sit down, I put my feet down, and I always think about my buddy Craig who can't pick up his own feet, right? The broken neck. I put my feet down and I go, thank you that I can feel the floor. Because he can't.
Yeah.
And then I stand up. Thank you that I can stand.
Yeah.
Thank you. The simplest things that we just so take for granted. And
Absolutely.
I mean, the fact that we have electricity. There are many people that do not have electricity. And not in this country. Around the world. People are living in shacks in these. They don't know what that is. I remember when the kids in Pakistan, we built a agape home. 19 kids out of slavery in Pakistan. Started this non-for-profit called Chalk to Clay. Long story. But we built this home, 3,300 square foot home. And each floor is the church, the school, and then the home. And so that's where they live in Pakistan. And I have video of them with the light switch because I put electric in there. And they're all sitting there for hours. Like, how does that happen? Like, these kids are the same age as my children, and my son gets frustrated when his $1,000 iPad loses cell signal. Right? And these kids are freaking out over a light switch.
Yep. Yeah. Oh,
Such is our world, right? So I think about all of the things and how our body reacts to our thoughts, and with this Dr. Emoto study, and I go, what else is it reacting to? You know, every time I eat that, I get sick. Every time I go this place, it gets me ill. Every time, like, stop.
Oh, yes.
Right? And so we do that. I can't drink that thing anymore because I remember one time I got really sick. Well, probably would get sick, but not if you only had one sip of it or a drink of it, not half a bottle, right? But it's the memory. And that memory, thoughts become things. How do I know? The Dr. Emoto study. Or I do this. Wiggle your toes for me. How did you do that? I asked you to, and that thought became a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so if that thought at 268 miles an hour, that's how fast the nerves fire. So if that thought became a thing and it listened that fast, what else is it listening to?
Everything.
That's where health is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it has to start with the power of the 2 brains, one that keeps us alive and the other one that we think with. And when they're buddies, if you will, good happens. And it can only be good because it comes from God. But when we think in lack, darkness, that doesn't come from God. Sickness doesn't come from God. And so I make that shift, people. And when we chit chat, we share these thoughts, about this premise of sickness and who we are and how we overcome. If you want to overcome, just eliminate. Eliminate the things that are keeping you from you.
Yes.
And sometimes that even includes family members. So that's been rough for me because I've had some family members, cousins, that kind of stuff, aunts, uncles, that have been very, very, very toxic and not good. And I've learned that family is beyond blood.
Yeah.
However, you never stop loving and giving and serving.
For sure.
Right? Never, never, never.
Absolutely.
And so when I do that, so now this one family member, she wouldn't go near me. For instance, my kids are 12 and 13. She just met them for the first time.
Oh, wow.
3 weeks ago. With the death of my mother, everybody shows up, and all of a sudden, it's amazing what death does. Life and death unites people.
Always.
When somebody's born, families come together. Somebody dies, families come together.
Yes.
It's the
Sometimes that's the only time you ever see them.
Yes.
Ever.
And that's
Ever.
the problem with that dash, that moment of time. I always talk about, you're born on this day, you're going to die on this day. What are you doing with your dash? Because it's so small of an amount of time.
Yeah.
And so do good with it. Serve with it. Love with it. Give with it. And yes, we all have our yuck days. But again, the body's listening.
Yeah.
It just is. And so it's, talking to a kid who struggled forever in school, I met this doctor, removes a bone in my neck. He changed my thought. It came with a story first. The story was, your brain sends life to the body? That made sense to me. The physical manifestation of correcting my spine was just icing on the cake.
Yeah.
The cake was this thing. And so when I talk to patients or I talk to people, hey, what's going on? What can I pray for today? It's never praying for something good. It's always praying for something that's bad in their life so they can get good.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, absolutely. Hands down.
And it's and so the good part of it all is what is the good news of who we are? I'm a big Christ guy, if you can't tell, right? So, but when you lean into Him, you're only asking for good. I want good in my life. I want more of you.
Yep.
And if more of you, what does that mean? Then He's going to give us challenges to keep us from Him, to say, I'm going to push you and see how strong your bond really is.
Yeah.
And I think that happens with our health. That happens with marriages. That happens with our work.
Yeah.
That happens with our children.
Yeah.
Happens with the person in traffic who cut you off. Are you going to wave them on? Story. I'm with my son. Guy comes up next to me and he's swerving behind me, and Liam sees him in the mirror. He's like, what is wrong with this dude? I said, I have no idea. He looks over at he's like, you're not speeding. I don't understand. What's going on with this guy? I said, I don't know, Liam. The world's a little lost a little bit. That's okay. Let him be in his space. So he pulls around next to me, and I have really dark tinted windows. So I said, Liam, roll down your window. Roll it down. Because this guy has got his finger out of the window flipping me off.
Wow.
F-bombing me like crazy. So he sees this kid and still pumping the finger at me. Liam's like, what did you do?
Wow.
I said, Liam, watch this. I said, oh, hey! And I scream at him. And I go, and I blew him a kiss. Liam fell and he goes, oh my gosh. My dad just blew this guy a kiss. Middle school kid, right? My dad just blew this guy a kiss. Oh, yeah. And then he's like, the guy looks at me, he's like, you're a weirdo. And drives away. We died. But I could have met him where he was at.
Oh, yes, you could.
I could have flipped him off, right?
Oh, yes.
In this state of Missouri, you can carry. And so there's somebody gets flipped off. Somebody might go a little further, right? And so you can do that. But I chose not to. Yeah. I chose to kill him with kindness. And I loved on him. And I also was an example for my son.
For
because
sure.
my dad did that. How should I react? But if I react how my dad reacts, then that's what I know. I did a podcast. It was the best mission trip you can ever go on is the one in the back seat.
Yeah.
Because they're listening.
I saw that one. Yep. It was really great. And you just stop.
Yes.
And like,
Yep.
Okay. Yep. I've probably said a few things and not realized certain things and not realized how I was acting and, just
a pastor told me once, Eddie,
checks you.
never say something or tell somebody something you want them to forget in 5 minutes. He goes, you really pay attention to your words. Yeah. Because how many times you said it, like, why did I just do that?
I know.
I did that last week. I was talking to somebody. I'm like, they don't need to know what I just told them.
Right.
What are you doing? And I say, I talk out loud. Dad, I'm sorry. I call God Dad. Dad, I'm sorry. I made an oops. And you know it. Your spirit speaks to you. And it's I'm like, oh. And then you have to apologize for that. No, I apologize for saying that. It was gossipy or that kind of, whatever it was. It wasn't constructive. So I want to be good into the world somehow. My grandmother would always say, Eddie, do you ever have a bad day? Like, seriously? And I said, yeah. I'm as human as you are. Yeah. I'm just not going to tell you. I'm not going to share it. Why would I rain on your parade? And most of us do.
We do.
Go to social media. It's everywhere.
Absolutely. I mean, I think through all of the past 9 years going through what we did with Madison, it was. I didn't talk about it probably as much as maybe I needed to get a little therapy, but sometimes it's not worth telling somebody else the bad day that you had, and
but you also feel like a little bit of a failed parent. Like, why is my kid sick?
Right.
What did I do wrong?
Right.
And you now take ownership of that. Yeah. And now it's both of us get sick.
Yeah. I think also, just trying to shield her and shield others from just that continual negativity, negative talk, and just continuing to talk about it because we just needed something normal. But also, I mean, I think about that too in the backseat. I mean, just being able to have on the positive music. We listen to Christian music every single day, just something positive to uplift and
I love
give
my
you
kids
hope
sing it.
And encouragement. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yet, I do have some family members and some friends that would have probably treated that car ride a lot different.
Yes.
And then how does it affect your children? And how does it affect the other person? How does it affect you?
Yep.
I mean, I used to drive for a living every single day, and just the craziness that's out there.
Sure.
So I think just, turning things around, and I don't know that everybody can do that. And I really just encourage everybody to be able to try to do that in every situation that they can. It's not always possible for every situation.
But we're
the
only
more
do
that
with what we
can.
know.
Yes.
And so if you don't like something or something's just tasting wrong, start searching outside of what we've been taught.
Yeah.
It's funny you say, I have this little boy, he's 4 years old and likes to play in the office. I'm like, hey buddy, come on, it's time to get your spine checked, let's go. I'm like, come on. And his mother's like, come on, let's go. And he's like, shut up to mom.
Wow.
I'm like, wow, mom, hold on buddy. Mom, I don't roll that way. And this is my house, so I'm going to play dad now. And I get on my knees to him and I grab his hands. He's 4. He knows well enough. And I hold his hands and I said, hey man, he called me right out. Watch this. And I said, I don't talk to mom that way. You shouldn't talk to mom that way. So that's not what we do to mom. He's like, why? Dad does.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect.
There we go.
I said, Mom,
Yeah.
he wins.
Yeah.
I
he
can't
does.
change that.
No.
No. Again, you're a product of your environment.
Yeah.
So if you don't like your environment, physical, emotional, spiritual, you have to change your
it.
environment. And again, that comes to changing either a diet, changing a job, right? Changing
Yes.
your college degree. Like, oh my God, I went to school for this. I have to be this. No, you don't. Right? And don't live by the parents' expectations, that kind of thing. But I think that what I really need to be is the best version of me.
Yeah.
Because there's free beer tomorrow.
It will
There's free
always
beer
be
tomorrow. There's always going to be free beer tomorrow. So you always have right now.
Tomorrow will never.
Know what I
never
did
be here.
yesterday? It really doesn't matter. Know what I'm doing tomorrow? I'll tell you when I get there.
Yeah.
I'm just enjoying right now.
For sure.
So
Love it.
It is. And it's just so freeing to let go of the expectation of not only yourself but others and just be. Like when you plant something, the tree's just being a tree. It doesn't care about the other branches. It's not like, oh man, get your branch off my branch.
Right.
No, it's
Right.
just, they don't, but they never butt branches. They just intertwine so I can just be.
Yeah.
Right? No species, no bird worries, oh my gosh, winter's coming.
Nope.
How am I going to eat?
No.
It's
No.
always provided for.
Yep. Always.
Always. And so we live in a state of, again, we're human doings, not human beings. And
Yeah.
so sooner or later, we just got to be.
I love it. I love it.
Awesome.
I really appreciate it. I think we could sit here and talk all day because
Yes, to be continued.
it's just such an important thing to do. So I think if you're struggling with something out there, I end it with encouragement and hope and really just reciprocate that. I need that encouragement. I want to give you encouragement and hope today.
Yeah.
Change your mind frame. Figure out some sort of way to be able to change your mind frame in each situation.
Do it really quick. A pro-con list is what I'd like to do. Write a
right.
list down, and you write down, these are all the things that are good in my
Absolutely.
life, because we never write those down first. And then write the things that are bad in
Love
my
it.
life. But start with the good.
Love it. I love it.
Right, that's an easy way. And I'm also a big fan of, people, I'm not a religious guy, I'm a relational guy. I want a relationship with our Creator. And so I love and pray. So I love starting with something like iamsecond.com. Such a cool way. I am second, God is first. And so when you go to I am second, it's really cool. It's motivational. It's inspirational. And a lot of people don't know this either. We know that there's YouTube, but we don't know that there's GodTube. There is a really cool site called GodTube.
Wow, I did not know that either. Okay.
Go to GodTube, and it's wild. And you tell your kids, stay off YouTube. Go to GodTube, because everything on there is going to be fun and inspirational, funny jokes, family stuff, but it's constructive. And so it's a choice.
It is a choice.
It's a choice.
Everything's a choice
Yes.
every single day.
Every day. So,
Well, thank you again. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate you
Thank you,
joining me,
thank
and
you.
we'll stay tuned. So
Yes.
this was fantastic. All right, until next time, thank you guys, and I always appreciate your time today.
have a great day.
Thanks. Bye.